Welcome back to the Nick Bartlett Show, everybody. My name's Nick Bartlett, and I'm a senior writer here at Super West Sports, as well as at OregonSportsNews.com. And this week, I'll be breaking down the four biggest matchups out west. So that's going to be Iowa at USC, Boise State at San Diego State, TCU at BYU, and Utah at Baylor. I'll be doing two quick hitters as well, so it won't be the full length preview, but they're all little fun facts, a little fun stuff for you. And please remember to like and subscribe, y'all. It'd mean a lot, trying to grow this channel, looking for all the support we can get out here. So, grateful for every person who subscribes. And if you don't subscribe, all love either way, but definitely would appreciate the support. And today I am bringing back, that was a weird transition, but today I'm bringing back a long-time segment. I'm not going to throw out the extra stats this week. I feel that's pretty pointless here in week 11 to just be reading off Makai Lemon's, stats. Just you get it. You know what's going on here by week 11, week 12. But I will bring it back at the end of the year to kind of, highlight some season-ending awards where players are finishing nationally, that sort of thing. But at this point, it just feels kind of boring. And I'm trying to do something different than make a boring show. If I think it's boring, then we're going to do something different this week. So won't be doing the extra stats. Everything else will be the same. But with that, if you've been kind of watching my stuff for a long time, I will be bringing back a segment that I used to do. It's been quite some time. Won't be here every week anymore, but definitely might be fun, little fun for this episode for sure. But before we do that, let's just get straight to the games. First contest I'm going to be breaking down is Iowa at USC. And this is a light heavyweight battle between two teams hoping to stay relevant through the remainder of the year. Iowa enters this contest after a heartbreaking loss against Oregon last week. That was a really, really tough loss. For a team like Iowa who struggles to score the ball, to go down and put down that big touchdown, and then obviously give the field goal afterwards, that's gonna hurt them spiritually, mentally, emotionally. That's just gonna take its toll on them. So interesting to see how they bounce back for sure. USC comes in this matchup riding a 2-game win streak. One key in this contest is obviously going to be which team can control the tempo. I think that's pretty self-explanatory when you got a USC-Iowa game. Iowa under Kirk Ferentz has historically been good running the ball and defensively. And USC, you think of palm trees and receivers. So definitely a little bit different football ideologies there. The Hawkeyes, as we just touched on, prefer a low-scoring, ugly affair, while the Trojans rank 7th nationally in points scored per game. SC might find it difficult to get UI off the field. They rank 122nd nationally with the 47.6 rushing success allowed. That stat is worded a little bit weirdly to me. Basically, what they're saying is they struggle, defending the run at certain times. Again, with that 122nd nationally ranking, and this is obviously important against the Iowa team. Definitely could prove problematic. Iowa's a top 50 rushing offense. Maybe not as statistically good as they've been in other years, but always dominant, always a good offensive line, and still a top 50 unit. They average 176 yards per contest. And one of the key things here, though, is if SC can stop Iowa's rushing attack, or at least limit them for some, and like 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5 with absolute kind of worst scenarios, it would maybe not 3rd and 5, but 3rd and 7 would allow their pass rushers to attack, and they do have good pass rushers. So again, USC doesn't have a necessarily consistent defense. I don't think that's the right word. You wouldn't think of them as like a historically like a Utah, but they do have playmakers, so they can make things happen. Force turnovers, force a fumble, get in the backfield, force some sacks, that sort of thing. The consistency isn't there, but definitely some playmakers. Their pass rushers actually rank 16th nationally with a 7.9% sack rate, and defensive ends Cameron Crawford and Braylon Shelby have combined for 7 sacks this year. Flipping the field, UI must find a way to limit Jaden Maeva. Maeva has had a marvelous year, ranking 8th nationally with 2,614 passing yards. Already talked about Makai Lemon earlier, absolute game wrecker at wideout. Iowa's just got to account for him. The Hawkeyes aren't a team who can fall behind 14-0, 17-0 and expect to come back. So, if Makai Lemon, whether he's, creating some getting some short passes and creating space for other receivers, or just straight up kind of making some big plays himself, Iowa's got to contain him and limit him. He's just such a dominant playmaker. So Iowa's got to find a way. I don't know how you're supposed to do it, but Iowa's got to find a way. That's why I coach youth basketball, not football. So hopefully Iowa can do it for their sake. USC also has an underrated rushing offense, which ranks 22nd nationally in yards per game. So they do have a good rushing attack, and I think this gets often overlooked with Waymon Jordan. You're looking at a team here in SC that has a pretty complete offense. People think of them with that 7th ranked nationally, or with just a top 10 passing unit, but they have a really good running unit as well. Looking at the spread here, I believe USC is favored by 6.5 points, and I believe they will cover. And the over-under is at 48.5, and I'm going with the under here. So again, I do think USC will cover the 6.5 point spread, and going with the under at 48.5. The next matchup I'm going to be breaking down here is going to be I believe it's San Diego State, Boise State, but let's make sure before I start talking. Yeah, it's going to be Boise State at San Diego State. And looking at the notes here, this game is obviously pivotal for both these teams. But a third team is going to be watching this matchup as well, and that's going to be Hawaii. Let me get my voice back here. With Hawaii being out last week, or with Hawaii beating San Diego State last week, it just changes the whole dynamics of the conference. You can also include Boise lost to Fresno State a couple of weeks ago, so it's again just the whole dynamics have changed quickly, particularly in the last year of this version of the Mountain West. So definitely going to be a fun race to watch down the stretch here. Again, Hawaii is going to be watching this matchup closely though, because if San Diego State wins, they're still in control of their destiny. Respect did some good things earlier this year, but if they lose, that instantly flips over to the Bows, and now the Bows control their destiny to the Mountain West title game. So some notable things happening in this contest. Both squads we already talked about the tough losses. One important aspect of this game is whether SDSU's defense can capitalize against the Broncos' backup quarterback. The Aztecs got shredded by Mike Alejado last week, so they'll be looking, I don't want to say for revenge, but they'll be looking to perform better. That's for sure. They'll be looking to, kind of live up to their defensive reputation this year. Sean Lewis comes in with that fast Aztec fast offense, but it's really been their defense that's carried them this year. Really just a top 10 unit in points allowed and passing up until last week. They're probably still there. But I've been giving you those stats all year to try to vary a little bit this week. But even with I think what was it, 34-6 to Hawaii, you'd still think they're pretty highly ranked in most defensive categories. On offense for SDSU, Jaden Denegal isn't necessarily a good throwing quarterback yet, probably will be in the long run. Just, he's only 10, 11 starts in. Lucky Sutton's good halfback and Napier receiver. They have enough, but they're really reliant on their rushing attack. So they're more of kind of just a defensive team. And this game is just going to even out a lot, because I would personally believe that Boise State would have the better offense with Maddox Madsen in there. But with Maddox Madsen in there, but it just like with Cutforth in there, it just feels like it evens out. And I feel like I just rolled through all my notes off the top of my head there, because this game's pretty important. So we'll just stick with Cutforth. He's only thrown for 186 yards and 1 touchdown during his collegiate career. Just like I was kind of harping on there, the signal caller situation makes it just a tighter matchup all around. Boise State was ranking 53rd in passing yards per game with Maddox Madsen in charge. San Diego State was ranked 114th, but it just evens out now. You can just forget the stat. It just evens out now. You think the teams are just so similar on offense, so similar on defense now. And one area that really concerns me this year is the Broncos front 7 not performing up to their standards. The Aztecs, again, as we touched on, have Lucky Sutton, who's a dangerous halfback. And Boise State is ranking, trying to find the exact stat here. They're ranking 87th in rushing yards allowed per contest. So that is a down year for them. And particularly against a SDSU team who's averaging 180 yards on the ground per game. So that's going to be a kind of final thing to watch in this matchup. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it here. Definitely a toss-up game, one of the harder games I've had to pick this year. Again, with Cutforth out there, just make things so much tighter. SDSU is favored by 2.5 points. I do not think they will cover. Again, I do not think they will cover. And the over-under is at 41.5, and I'm going with the under. 2 good defenses, a backup quarterback, 2 quarterbacks who might not be able to throw the ball. Under feels like the safe choice here. So I'm going to keep it safe this week. I have 2 unders back to back. That rarely happens for me. Hopefully, maybe I'm losing my mind. Who knows? The next contest I'll be breaking down. Let's see here. I think Utah Baylor's last, so that is going to lead us to TCU at BYU. I love when rhymes just happen like that. I did not plan that. That was fire. That was a 1 a.m. surprise right there. that was cool. Yeah, this game. So this game is meaningful though, and like I think ways that people don't understand. This isn't one of those matchups where I can break down BYU's roster and just off the top of my head. Everyone knows at this point in the year about LJ Martin, Parker Kingston, Chase Roberts, Bear Bachmeyer. You guys, who their star 4 players are. I don't need to repeat that. So I'll kind of be giving you a different angle on this game, but I think it's interesting. Me personally, I think it's actually more interesting. This game's meaningful for BYU. They're entering this matchup after their first loss of the year against a team who's whooped their butt since 2007. These 2 squads have been aligned since the old Mountain West days, on and off. Obviously, BYU to stint in the independent circuit. But TCU has knocked off the Cougars 5 times in a row. The last time BYU won was 2007. I am 35 now. I was a sophomore in high school. Let me put that in perspective. I'm 35 now. Last time BYU beat TCU, I was a sophomore in high school. So that is just, that stat still catches me off guard saying out loud, especially because BYU's not maybe recently been a pretty dominant program, but historically good but not dominant. So you'd expect them to sneak a win in there. Bottom line, though, the key to this faux rivalry should prove whether BYU can make the Horned Toads one-dimensional. The Toads struggle to run the ball, ranking 107th nationally in yards per game. They're better through the air because of Josh Hoover, but Hoover won't be able to do it alone against a BYU defense that ranks 16th in points allowed per contest. He's thrown for 2,690 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. The combination of Hoover and Eric McAllister, they're the reason why TCU is good on offense. They're the reason why TCU is good, really, in general. McAllister is an absolute beast. He's explosive. He's a playmaker. And those 2 help fuel an offense that averages 33 points per game. So pretty solid unit there. McAllister ranks 9th nationally with 834 receiving yards and is tied for 8th nationally with 8 touchdown receptions. He's going to impact this game. There's no way around it. BYU has talent, but not necessarily an Ohio State, Alabama level talent where they're just going to be able to eliminate a player like that. For BYU, this contest is less about the personnel and more about learning from last season. And this is what I was hinting on earlier. The Cougars started 2024 9-0 before dropping 2 straight contests and dropping out of the college football playoff contention. Losing to Texas Tech was okay. That's fine. Great team this year. But this is the matchup that really, really matters. This is the one that is vitally important. If they drop out of, if they lose this game, there's a good chance they might not be selected for the college football playoff anymore. There's no other way to say it. So let's hopefully avoid that scenario. I think BYU still has Cincinnati on their schedule, but this is a game they should win, and I just don't want to see what happened to them last year happen again this year. Just 9-0 with 2 consecutive losses would definitely hurt. So yeah, I'm just hoping BYU doesn't suffer that same fate. I like what Kalani Sitake's building there. I might pick against them a lot, but I actually really respect what they're doing and what they're building. BYU is favored by 3.5 points in this contest. I do think BYU will cover. Again, I do think BYU will cover the 3.5 point spread. And for the over-under at 51.5, I'm picking the under. Did I have 3 unders this week? That's crazy. I don't know. I'm usually an over guy. That's new. Maybe it's 2 unders. Feels like a lot to me. But over under 51.5 under again. I don't know. I just have a feeling it's gonna be a low scoring game. BYU is a good defense. I think they're gonna limit TCU, but I don't think BYU is gonna necessarily explode on offense. So yeah. Next game and final matchup of the Big Four before we hop over to the quick hitters. Quick hitters. All right, we're losing our mind now at this point. But hopping into this one, Utah at Baylor. This game's super important for Utah. No other way to say it. A little bit less important for Baylor, but super, super important for the Utes. After a subpar inauguration season, the Big 12, the Utes have a chance to make things right this year. If they defeat Baylor, they'll be in a good spot to walk away with a 10-win campaign. Their final 2 contests are against the Kansas schools And really, again, that's where the Utes should be under Kyle Whittingham. Again, with Cam Rising's injury last year and just the weird quarterback situation, they faltered their first year, but them back to 10 wins in the Big 12, it feels right. But they got to get it done this week. The key to this matchup should prove if BU can slow down U of U's rushing attack. Utah averages 5.92 yards per carry, which keeps them in good down and distances. And neither of these, this is one thing about Utah that I think I have a little bit different take than maybe some of the other national or regional guys. I don't personally think either of their halfbacks are amazing. They're good. They play for Utah. They're obviously good. They're really, really talented. But they're not elite. They're not amazing. They're not top 20 guys in the nation as far as I'm concerned. But they're both solid. I want to make that clear. But so if Baylor's defensive line can play neutral with Utah's beast up front, I think they'll be able to limit Wayshawn Parker and Query Rogers. Never going to be easy. Again, we're talking about a Utes rushing offense that ranks third nationally in yards per game because the offensive line, so not going to be easy. I'm trying to make this sound easy here. That's not easy. But again, if they can somehow play even with the Utah front, I believe they can tackle these halfbacks. If they obviously it takes a team, but I just don't think these are top 20 guys nationally. I've been saying that all year, so that's something to watch. Another key in this matchup should prove whether the Bears wideouts can win a 1-on-1 against the Utes secondary 1-on-1 battles. BU has a lot of talent at receiver, and the Utes play a lot of man-to-man defense, so that's something to watch there. Let's see what happens. Sawyer Robertson's also a baller. Robertson's thrown for 2,780 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. He's also had 2 tutties on the ground, and should just be interesting to see how he plays against Utah's secondary. Obviously, it's the Utes. They're good on defense. They're ranked 6th nationally in passing yards allowed per game. But Robertson's a good player, so he can move the ball. Baylor's explosive receivers, and I feel like I've used that word too much today. We're going to need a new one. A lot last time. Explosive West Coast shit. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. All right, I'm so sorry, y'all, to hear that. I'm sorry, Dr. Dre, that I just ruined your song forever, and I will never say that word again in my life. So, yeah, back to the notes. Just bottom line, I think I'm interested to see how Sawyer Robertson, with his explosive receivers, performs against a talented Utah secondary. That's really all we need to kind of wrap up this game here. Looking at the spread, I believe Utah's favored. They're favored by 7.5 points. I do think Utah will cover. And I do think Utah will cover the 7.5 point spread. And the over-under is at 60.5, and I am going with the over here. Again, I am going with the over. I said that like I was riding a roller coaster. I was excited to get through the Big Four because it's been a long day. It's 1 a.m. I love talking college football, but I'm running. I don't know. Let's just get to the quick hitters, get out of here. And while I'm still making some sort of sense, hopefully you guys are learning something. Let's get out of here. Looking at the quick hitters, guys, I think I had one really fun matchup and one, So Arizona, Cincinnati. All you really need to know here is 2 really good quarterbacks. Noah Fafita for UA, Brendan Sorsby for Cincinnati. And let's see if there's – I'll take a little bit deeper look, see if there's anything I'm missing here. Wildcats made a bowl game last week. That's good for them. Nice win against Kansas if you missed it. Won on kind of a late touchdown. That was good stuff. Nice touchdown dash, but we're on to this week anyway. Bottom line, Sorsby, again, really good quarterback. Arizona, good quarterback. And there's got to be something else, you'd think. Arizona's defense, 7th nationally in passing yards allowed per game. So I think they might hold the slight advantage in that regard. But bottom line here is just kind of who's going to take over the game in terms of the quarterback play. That's kind of my quick little take on this one. And, Fafita's currently in a 3-way tie. One more touchdown pass, he sets the record at UA. So one more touchdown pass, he's there. Looking at my pick for this one, I do not think Cincinnati will cover. They're favored by 6.5 points. Again, I do not think Cincinnati will cover the 6.5 point spread, and the over/under at 56.5. I'm going with the under, I'm going with the over at 56.5. I am going with the over. Final matchup here is going to be fun one. Utah State versus who's Utah State playing? UNLV. Again, 2 good quarterbacks. And the one thing I want to say about this matchup is it's really going to be interesting to see UNLV I'm going to go a little bit deeper than 2 just good quarterbacks because I said that about the last one. Again, quick hitters, don't expect too much, but just enough. both have top 30 scoring units. I think he knew that with Utah State. Bryson Barnes, former Utah quarterback, been absolutely killing it this year. The pig farmer beat USC when he started for the Utes a long time ago. He's seen it all. He's really seen it all. But the main thing I wanted to talk about here is he's going to need to protect the ball against the Rebels. Barnes is a vet, but UNLV is an opportunistic defense that ranks 7th in the nation with 12 interceptions, 10th in turnover margin at +8, and they also have 3 defensive touchdowns. Something's got to give here because Barnes has only thrown 3 interceptions on the year, and he's coming off a good performance. So that's pretty much the key here. How will he protect the ball? Obviously, Anthony Colandrea over there for UNLV is a great player. Jane Thomas for UNLV, great player. So 2 really, really good offenses. And if I know there's bigger games nationally, but if you just like football, this is a fun game to watch. Bryson Barnes versus Colandrea, a lot of points are going to be put up on the board. Should be fun to watch. With that being said, UNLV is favored by 6.5 points. I do not think UNLV will cover. Again, I do not think UNLV will cover the 6.5 point spread. And for the over-under at 68.5, I'm going with the under. 2 good offenses, but I just think that's a little high. I think just a little too high for me, so I'm going with the under there. And yeah, random segment, Bartlett's topic of the day. I'm running on fumes here, so let's just let's just do it. Screw it. I mean, I don't know. Let's just do it. Bartlett's random topic today. If you've been following me for a while, I'm not going to go on a tangent like I used to. I think I used to overdo it too much. Bottom line, last week I was talking about how I coach basketball and how I was making this show and running a little bit late for basketball practice. So I'm always running red lights. I mean, I never run red lights if the police are listening. I would never do that. That's a terrible thing to do. So this morning I was running a little bit late for work for another job, and I'm just beeping like a complete jerk. I know I'm being a jerk, but I want to be on time. I don't give a crap. So I'm just beeping because they're being a slow driver. They got me caught up at this red light. And all of a sudden, like 3 cops and a construction worker approach me, and there's looking at me like I'm absolutely crazy. And they were like running this, this red light for whatever reason today. And instantly I went to, fake kind of like weak soft mode. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you guys were running it. My bad. I thought they were just being slow. I was trying to get blah, blah, blah. I knew exactly what I was doing. I probably knew intuitively they're running it because there's freaking construction everywhere in Seattle. But yeah, don't be a jerk and beep at someone for 2 minutes straight because you'll attract cops and construction workers who'll come at your window at 7 a.m. when you're not even caffeinated yet, and you have to explain yourself. That was a hell of a situation to be at before you even reach work. So yeah, be a better driver than me, y'all. That is all I got for Bartlett's random topic of the day. Concluding this episode, thank you guys for tuning in as always. I really do mean that. Here's a quick recap of my picks. For the spread, I do think USC will cover. San Diego State won't cover. BYU will cover, and Utah will cover as well. Again, USC will cover. SDSU won't cover. BYU will cover, and Utah will cover as well. For the over-unders, Iowa, USC under. Boise State, SDSU under. TCU, BYU under. And Utah, Baylor over. Again, Baylor, Utah over. BYU, TCU under. SDSU, I think I got a little off there. Let me just read it the normal way. Iowa, USC under. Boise State, SDSU under. TCU, BYU under. And Utah, Baylor over. I did have a lot of unders this week. I felt that way. Yeah, it's that time of the year. Who's going to this ship, y'all? Who is going to this ship? We are almost a college football playoff. Yeah, almost at that time of the year. Please remember to drive safely, everyone. Don't be a jerk. My bad. But yeah, college football playoff around the corner. The games get meaningful. Conference championships before that. Things are heating up. This is the time of the year. So hopefully your team's winning. If your team's less competitive, like I always say, drink a beer, enjoy the games. But best of luck if your team's still out there fighting. This is what makes the sport meaningful. Thank you guys for tuning as always. All love, and signing off from 1:30 in the morning. I will, yeah, just have a good night, y'all. Deuces. Or have a good day. Have a good day. It's the same day. Deuces.